Yes, welcome once again to the Provenance Trails. I don't know which episode is this one, but almost fell right at the start. Don't know which episode is this one, but thank you for clicking here and joining me on this hike. As you know, this video experimental series of mine is part of my musical project Ozul here in Bergen, where I live. And the whole concept of this video experimental series is like taking you on a hike here in the Norwegian woods and mountains to talk a bit about the music, the sound, where I'm at, make some announcements for the project, and think a little bit out loud about what's this Ozul prog eclectic project of mine is about. So thank you for being here on this slow TV experiment, kind of a little bit of a contrarian content making instead of the usual 30-second snippets and YouTube thumbnails of shocked faces. We're going kind of against the grain, taking it easy, taking it slow, hiking, being a little bit out of nature. And as always, the concept is that I have prepared some kind of theme, and I've asked the new kid in town, AI, to prepare kind of 10 questions for me to talk about it, and I sent it to myself, and that's the episode. And this is, in that sense, it's unscripted, so we stop here to show you. We're going up there. This is kind of here Bergen, Norway, is known as the town surrounded by the 7 mountains, and this is one of the main mountains, Løvstakken. And by the way, did you know the composer Edvard Grieg lived here in Bergen, and that mountain was one of his favorite mountains. So, little fun fact for you. So, I have prepared, with help of an AI, 10 questions. Wrong side. You see that this is unscripted. 10 questions. I'll send them to myself. And let's get going. Okay, you have announced Provenance, that would be my debut album, Provenance, is going to be released as a vinyl. Yeah, I did that last episode. I announced to you all good people that I will be releasing Provenance as a vinyl soon. Let's see, but what does it actually feel for you, the creator, to know that this digital work is now becoming a real thing? Oh, well, I'm impressed about AI. Good question. Yeah, Provenance has existed only as a digital release now for several years, and it actually has made me think the whole process of now preparing the materials, the tracks, and the graphics and everything to be now sent for pressing has made me think a little bit about this kind of strange thing about music and the physicality of it, or actually the lack of physicality, because now for many years we've been quite used to the whole streaming phenomenon, and the thing that music now lives mostly, for most people, in the digital domain. I'm kind of old enough to remember that this was not always the case. I grew up with a father that had vinyl records, and myself as a teenager, I remember not being able to save any money, because as soon as I had some money, I stormed in the nearest record store to find what new record I would buy. So I did have a significant record collection. At that time it was mostly CDs, but Provenance has existed only in that digital domain, and now is going to be a physical thing. And I think it's kind of a bit of a paradox. We as musicians, I don't know if you're an artist of any kind, I think it's a bit different if you're a painter than a musician. If you're a painter, you kind of have that relationship with your canvas, or a sculpture with the stuff that you're sculpting with. With music, you're starting with the ether. You have the instruments, of course, if you're working with acoustic instruments, and those are physical, but music for the most part is something a bit ethereal, a bit something that is intangible. And I think in that sense, it's kind of a paradox that we also, or perhaps it's not, perhaps it's completely understandable that we want that thing that is intangible, that doesn't exist, that we strive to create in music. It's just sound waves, sound forms. Perhaps we kind of crave that thing about those feelings, those ideas, those concepts, kind of falling from the from the spiritual realm, the non-physical realm, to something that you can hold and grab off. And I'm not gonna lie, I think the whole thing about making Provenance, that first record, that is so significant for me, of making it a physical release, it's rather special. It's a special feeling of seeing something that didn't exist before in the world that you have created. It's special to be able to hold something physical, and kind of gives it a feeling that, a stronger feeling that, you know, this is mine, this is me somehow, and it exists in the world. It doesn't just exist in the clouds of the pirates from Spotify. Political message. Yeah. Next question. Let's see. The transition from for a physical form must also apply to the art form, the AI is asking me. Yeah, how did you work with the graphics and the design for making a vinyl? Yes. As I mentioned before, the thing about Ozul is that I not only do the music and the mix and mastering, but I also do the graphic work and the music video work and the video work like this, of course. So when I decided to make Provenance available as a vinyl, I had designed several years ago the cover of the record with that tiny little flower. But I had to design several other things. And that's kind of very nice because, you know, in the digital realm, your cover, your album cover, if you're lucky, it will be seen like a little thumbnail almost on a mobile. But when you have a vinyl, it's something big. So I have to not only do some small adjustments, but also that meant that I could, for example, make an inner sleeve with a track list and the lyrics of the record, and try to make the back side of the cover also to live kind of in the same universe graphically as the cover of the record that I had designed several years prior. And that was kind of an interesting feeling to have to revisit that and make that design. And it also, I'm not gonna lie, it also appeals a little bit to your ego. The fact of being able to see that record kind of in a larger format, and it makes you feel almost like you are somehow now a little bit more entitled to call yourself a musician or something like that. You know, I know that is pure ego, but that's kind of the feeling that I had. See, we're going up there. That's Løvstakken. Those were some of the feelings I became aware while designing. It's like, oh wow, I'm going to release a vinyl. Oh, so nice. But you know, always I try to kind of keep some kind of awareness and mindfulness about that, because you know, I'm such a little artist. So in some sense, you know, I allow myself to to feel that way, like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit proud now, oh, this looks cool or whatever, but you keep yourself in check. By the way, I think that's a rather Scandinavian thing to do. But next question. People always talk, the AI says, people always talk about the warmth of vinyl. As a person who mixed the album, what does that mean to you? Oh, yeah, okay, the whole thing about whether if vinyl is a superior medium for reproducing music and all that stuff. You know, I did some adjustments, small adjustments, when I prepared the tracks for the vinyl, just kind of to ensure some technical aspects of it, because really vinyl, it's a medium that has its limited capabilities, really, to be honest. So I had to do some stuff, but I think that for me, the whole thing about the vinyl is not so much about the warmth of the sound or some kind of magical thing that happens when you have music on an analog media. Yeah, it might sound a little bit different, but I think it's perhaps something that is as important is what happens when you have a vinyl in this day and age. I mean, you have taken the trouble to order it, you have been waiting for it, even though you have heard the music before or whatever, but you have been waiting for the vinyl to arrive, or you have to take the trouble to go to a music store and decide which vinyl, and then you come home and you have to unwrap it, and you know, that whole old-fashioned thing about the ritual of listening to a vinyl. And I think that affects often in a positive way the experience of listening to music. So the ritual about how do we listen to vinyl, I think, is almost as important as any kind of magical stuff that happens when you put music on a vinyl. Let's see, we're going that way. That's something that I like. That is something that I grew up with, having my father playing records, and I was allowed to take the records and play them. And one of the wow moments for me growing up was when my father had just bought a stereo system that he had been wanting for years and years, and I was helping him install the stereo. And I remember that one of the first records that he put on to test, and I hadn't heard anything like that before, he put Metal from Pink Floyd, and the first track of that record is called One of These Days, and I will never forget the experience of hearing that bass with that delay and the distortion. It was so bloody heavy. At that time I was already into kind of Metallica and Guns N' Roses, and dipping my fingers a little bit into Megadeth. So I had heard Black Sabbath, but something like that I had never heard, and in many ways that opened the doors for prog, if you will, for me. So that ritual of playing vinyl, it's rather close to my heart. And well, I have to say something about the Provenance vinyl, because that vinyl is going to be produced by a company called Elastic Stage, and the way that they're producing records is like records on demand. So it's kind of a more modern way to produce records. It's not the usual you press 100 records at one time and you have to pay for a master in special lathe and all that. This process is different. This is kind of an on-demand vinyl pressing. And I have to say that I was very skeptical, but I have made a copy and have listened to it, and I thought, this has nothing wrong. This sounds as well as I remember the record and as well as I can hear it, comparing it to the digital. So I decided that this is good enough. This is good enough for an artist like me this is good enough at this point in my, if you want to call it career. I have no career, but you know, for the size of me as an artist. And at the same time, I also think that it has some interesting advantages, and that is that there is no, when you purchase a vinyl like that, there is not like it's going to be 150 vinyls somewhere in an attic just gathering dust, you know. There's no waste environmentally. The vinyls that will be purchased, ordered, those are the ones that get printed. No more, no less. And I hope that you who follows me and might consider buying the vinyl could see it like a collector's item. I cannot see in the foreseeable future that there will exist that many records in the world from Ozul. So if you purchase one of those records, it's going to be one of the very few that exists. Yeah, the other thing that is a bit concerning, to be honest, with the Provenance record that I will be releasing is the whole thing about the transport costs and the situation with taxes around. You know, for some territories, the vinyl is going to cost, it's going to cost something. Vinyl is not cheap. I do not have control over those kind of elements when it comes to the vinyl. I'm going to choose the lowest price for the actual vinyl, but when it comes to the costs for transport and taxes, those are handled by Elastic Stage, which is the company that makes the record. And some things like taxes and the situation of sending, for example, vinyl to the US, to say is difficult, to say the least, and it's also rather unforeseeable. So yeah, if you buy the vinyl, you will be supporting me, supporting the project, and those things kind of fall a little bit under my, not under my control. Next question from the AI. To hold the vinyl record for Provenance, does it give you a new perspective on what you are working now? Oh yeah, how is the process working with this new album, Stillborn Hope? What is different from Provenance? Oh, many things are different. I would like to think that I am a bit more experienced now with things like music production, and I have kind of growth somehow as an artist. I don't know, you will be the judge of that. But I think that when I think about it, Provenance came rather quickly. You know, the process of making it didn't feel quick at the time, but when I look at the amount of time that Man on the Shore, my previous record, and this new record, Stillborn Hope Volume 1, how much time and effort is taking. So it's taking a longer and longer times. I don't know if that's good or not. It's something that makes me unsure. At the moment, I would like to think that has to do with the fact that you grow in ambition somehow as an artist, that things that you perhaps felt when you started that were good enough, they're not good enough longer, and that you behold yourself to higher quality standards, and therefore that pushes your boundaries, and therefore it takes more time. So that's a difference. The other difference is that now, stupid as I am, I decided not only to work with 2 records, but as I told you, Stillborn Hope is part of a trilogy in which Man on the Shore is the album in the middle. But Stillborn Hope Volume 1 is a prequel to Man on the Shore, and Stillborn Hope Volume 2 is going to be a sequel to that story. So keep tuned if you want to listen a little bit more about that. I guess I will talk about that in another episode, the actual story. So those are some of the differences. At the moment, what is difficult with Stillborn Hope Volume 1? Oh, but before I continue, look at this. Little pause to catch my breath. If you ask me, what is the difficult thing now regarding this new record? Yeah, well, last time I was kind of bummed out about the whole thing of recording vocals, and making lyrics, writing lyrics, which I still think that it's one of the most difficult things for me to do. At the moment, I think that I'm finished tracking the vocals, so I kind of have overcome that obstacle in a sense. But now I'm kind of struggling with another thing that I think is really difficult for me, and that is the balance of when to know when a song is finished. You know, you work with this stuff for a long time, and you listen to every song hundreds, if not thousands of times, you know, and you become blind very quickly. So it's kind of difficult to know, is this song ready? Does it need more parts? Does it need less parts? Is it overcrowded, or is it too naked? Is the production too simple? Is it too complex? And I'm kind of struggling with that at the moment. Many songs, I think, okay, there is kind of a gap between two bars. Should I put a synth on it, or should I make a little piano detail, or is it better that it's kind of naked there? And it drives me mad. Sometimes the only remedy for that is kind of to wait some days and listen to it again. I made a little experiment with some people I know. I play them the songs, and this is people that I trust, and I asked them, would you add something to this song or not? So also to have some people that you trust to give you feedback has been important. So let's move on. Next question from the AI. So you mentioned, the AI asks, you mentioned last time that the new acoustic guitar was kind of the trigger for the new record. Yeah, that's true. What is the sound of the new record? And what will be the sound of the next record after Stillborn Hope Volume 1? Yeah, well, given the fact that record, this new record, Stillborn Hope Volume 1, it's inspired by that steel string guitar acoustic. So I decided that I was going to divide them into two. This record is more acoustic, is softer. There are very few distorted guitars. So it's more acoustic. I think that it's a pretty dark record. So yeah, that record, even though it's softer, if you will, sound-wise, it's quite dark lyrically. I hope that it's going to be something that people appreciate, because this is like kind of the start of the story for Man on the Shore. As you know, Man on the Shore deals with this guy who ended up taking his own life. So this whole story is like the prequel, like what happened even before. And being such a tragic story, so it's natural, it follows that it's not going to be a happy, snappy concept. Next question. Thinking about the Provenance vinyl, AI asks, what makes a physical record special in 2025? I don't know. I think that just the fact that people still appreciate the whole concept about having a physical copy of your music. It makes it special in this day and age. So perhaps what it makes it special in 2025 is that we can still connect in a very unmodern way. It's nothing special to 2025. It's the fact that we can feel as it was 1979. It's kind of that, the little security in such fast-paced society that we still, some people still might value buying a copy of Provenance, sitting down, turning off the phone, turning off all this social media craziness, and just sit and listen. That's what I think, at least. What do you think? Let me know. Happy if you comment on these ramblings. Next question. So you've talked about the vinyl and the concept of provenance. What is the next step of the journey? Yeah, well, that's perfect, because now we're almost at the top, at the end of this episode. Thank you for listening. The next step is that those of you who have so kindly subscribed to my newsletter, Letters from the Shore, very soon I will be publishing the date of the release of the vinyl for purchase, and those of you who have subscribed there are going to get the news first. And I am also preparing a little unboxing video of how the Provenance vinyl record looks like. So that's the next step, and of course I am feeling in my bones that the Stillborn record is taking shape, and that means that I hope, fingers crossed, that I don't fall here and break my neck. So the hope, crossing fingers, is that that record, Stillborn Hope, is soon finished, tracked, and that I will very soon start the mixing stage, and after that will be the mastering stage. If you want to keep updated with those things, subscribe to Letters from the Shore, as you will be the first one to know. So yeah, this is it. We have come to the top of Løvstakken, one of the mountains in Bergen, of the 7 mountains. I'm going to take you to some of the other ones here, right here, someday, some other trail. But for now, thank you for listening and being part of this journey. Keep in touch, and thank you for listening. Peace.